with the sponsorship of the Gamma Group.
Welcome to Rumbo Minero. How are you, Miguel?
How are you, Jorge? Nice to meet you.
Well, in our program, we have the presence of two very important people. Augusto Baertl will be with us to talk about what Agromin will be. Next week, a very interesting event, the mixture of mining with agriculture, which is really very important for development, and so that we can have a greater development, not only of mining, but also of agriculture. Development, not only in mining, but also in agriculture, which is so important, and if you can make a team there. We are also going to have Anthony Laub.
That's right, Jorge. Anthony Laub, partner and founder of Laub Quijandría, with whom we're going to talk about formalization to attract investment and the shadow of illegal mining. And the shadow of illegal mining.
Well, next, join us for the main mining news of the week.
Thank you, Jorge. Here are the top mining news stories of the week.
Mongolian precious metals company Tepe Gold announced that it will sell its Tres Cruces gold oxide project in La Libertad for approximately $12 million in cash, payable over the next few months from the closing date of the transaction. The Ministry of Energy and Mines reported that the accumulated mining investment for the first 2 months of the year was $640 million in cash, payable over the next few months as of the closing date of the operation, an increase of 22.4% with respect to the same period of 2023-2003. The Peruvian-U.S. consortium formed by the company's offshore international group Agua y Tía Energy del Peru and Termoselva won the bid for the exploitation of the OT dyes to be managed together with Peru, which will participate in 40% of the operation, Peru Petro informed.
Many thanks to Gabriela Chicoma for the main mining news of the week. Well, we are now joined by Augusto Baertl, with Augusto Baertl, president of Agromin, de 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 Agromin. Agromin of Agromin. Welcome to Rumbo Minero.
Thank you very much, Jorge. My pleasure. Nice to be with you here. Thank you.
Augusto, tell us a little bit about your experience of many years in the mining sector. You know it very well. This amalgam, this symbiosis between mining and agriculture has worked many times, and sometimes we do not give it the real importance. Tell us a little bit about it.
Look, I believe that the synergies, the complementarities between agriculture and mining are in history and in the present. The history, for example, of the Cerro de Pasco Corporation, of the Fernandini mining negotiation, developed for 30, 40 years until the expropriation of the Cerro and until Velasco's agrarian reform. They developed a wool cattle ranch in the Pampa de Junín that won international awards. Peru exported wool, exported meat, generated a series of benefits to the entire region. Today we can see an Arequipa that has enough water that requires the clean water flows through the Chili River thanks to the treatment of the drainage of the city of Arequipa by green rice mines, and that helps agricultural development downstream in La Joya and more. So really, what can we say? Agriculture and mining have always walked together.
Augusto, tell us a little bit about the topics and the axes on which the Agromin conferences will focus. And we would also like to have your opinion on what should be done to try to convince the population that agriculture and mining do have a role to play, that agriculture and mining can coexist in harmony. Well, I
am asking two questions. The event has a really rich program. On the one hand, it deals with agricultural issues such as water, of course. A very important session on water harvesting. There will be 2 representatives of the government of Cajamarca, plus a mining entrepreneur and an agricultural entrepreneur. The 3 or the 4 of them mentioning all the successful efforts, by the way, that they are making in favor of water harvesting to help small farmers in the surrounding areas to have water in the low water seasons, and at the same time to favor the infiltration of the Anapa Phreatic. Then you are going to have meetings on soil fertilization, meetings on the links between mining and agriculture. For example, there is a prominent Canadian scientist who is going to make a presentation entitled Rocks for Food. Rocks for Food, a whole analysis of this symbiosis. Ingemed is going to present the geology of P. Then the Mercuba from Macroconsul and Mr. Diego Macera from Elipe. Diego Macera will talk to us about the country's economy as seen through the eyes of its 2 most important pillars, agriculture and mining. We will have a whole day for the topic of territorial development. In short, the program is really very encouraging.
As a reminder to all our viewers, from April 24th to 26th at the Agrarian University, we are going to repeat this later. www.agrominperu.com. You can buy your tickets for the conferences. Augusto, an important point of debate is related to the use of water and the high Andean basins. Tell us how this issue will be addressed, which is sometimes approached by the anti-miners in a malicious way.
Well, it is related to the second question that I was asked before, which is really the issue of San Benito de Aguasí, Minano. I believe that it is a folkloric expression of Peru. I sincerely feel, and we feel, that the great majority of Peruvian citizens are convinced that they need to make use of their resources in favor of the development of the country. Resources in favor of the country's development, and they are in favor of a responsible modern mining development. So I sincerely believe that water with respect to agriculture and mining is not a problem. Peru is a blessed country. There is no surplus of water. What we lack is the capacity to manage that water. During the summer, all the water goes to the oceans and is not dammed. What we have in the country is that we only need to make a political decision. We have to promote private investment in the construction of the dams that are required, of the transfers from one side to the other of the Andes mountain range to maximize the availability of water that we do have, can be managed and managed well.
You are, Augusto, taking advantage of your presence here in the program. We also wanted to address other issues. One was related to the issue of illegal mining, which we have all seen has increased in recent years with crime and deaths. I would like to know your opinion on this issue of illegal mining and how you think the government is acting, and how do you think the government is dealing with it?
Well, for many years and decades that the government has been, I believe, acting badly with respect to formality and with respect to illegality. In the country, informality, which borders on illegality in different activities, has been generalized and has been taking more and more shape. In the case of mining, it's no exception. Informal and illegal mining is present throughout the country. There is no action on the part of the government that pretends to supervise, that pretends to control what informal and illegal mining is today. Unfortunately, this illegality, in order to defend itself, it has begun to make contact with criminality, with drug trafficking, and today it is putting authority itself, the authority of the government, in check. We see what has happened in Patas. I believe that this is a very delicate issue and that it has to be solved through the traceability of the minerals when they are treated in the different quasi-informal plants that exist throughout the length and breadth of Peru.
What do you think of the possible solutions in addition to traceability, which is very important, with respect to military bases in strategic areas for Peru, such as the mining corridor, for example? What do you think about this type of way?
Well, undoubtedly, what is required is, again, a political decision to exercise authority. How is it going to be exercised? With the police, with the public prosecutor's office, with the armed forces, with the declaration of emergency? All these are all measures that can and are within the government's power. But before that, they have to take the political decision to really fight illegality and enforce the rule of law.
Let's go with Agromin again. From then on, a call to the viewers, to the thousands of people who listen to us. From April 24th to 26th at the Agrarian University, the web is www.agrominperu.com. You can register for these lectures, which are really very well prepared, first-level lectures. An invitation, Augusto, to our viewers.
Thank you, Jorge. I make a call, an invitation to all citizens to follow this very, very important event that, as mentioned, is going to be from Wednesday to Thursday of next week at the Universidad Nacional Agraria La Molina. We are waiting for you.
Excellent. I remind you again, www.agrominperu.com, and you are going to be able to sign up in these really very interesting conferences for all Peruvians, because we all have to be aware of the importance. We all have to become aware of the importance of mining to move the country forward, and above all, to be able to fight and put an end once and for all to a large part of the poverty we have in our country. Augusto, as always, we are truly honored to have you here, being one of the most important leaders in the mining sector, and we hope to have you here again on another occasion. And we hope to have you here another time in Rumbo Minero to see what this great Agromin later on.
Thank you very much, Jorge. Thank you very much. Very happy to be here. I congratulate you for this television set, and I wish you many thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, now let's go to Gabriela Chicoma's Expomina advertisement. Go ahead, Gabriela.
Thank you very much. Expomina Peru, from September the 2024th, will be presided over by Luis Rivera, Executive Vice President of Golfis Las Americas, and integrated by an advisory board of renowned mining leaders who will support us to achieve a magnificent organization. Highlight your brand through the different sponsorships we offer at Expomina Peru. Networking opportunities, participation in exclusive activities, promotion in the media, among other important benefits. For more information, visit our website www.expominaperu.com.
Good. We now enter our America Mining block. We link up directly with José Gonzales, international editor of Rumbo Minero magazine, to New York, USA. How are you, José?
Jorge? Very well, Jorge. Thank you. Always nice to be with you.
José, this week the prices of three metals have had unusual movements. Aluminum and nickel prices soared, copper continues to gain ground, and Alcoa's shares rose. Following last weekend's, the previous weekend of new transactions involving Russian origin metals by US authorities, by the US and UK authorities. What is such a ban about, and what could the effect on the metals in question continue to be? I suspect This smacks a little bit of armed conflict issues, doesn't it?
Correct. Indeed, Jorge, aluminum and nickel prices soared on the London Metal Exchange, the LME, this week, and Alcoa shares and also Rio Tinto shares rose following the provision of new Russian-sourced metals trading by US and UK authorities over the previous weekend. The new restrictions prevent trading in Russian-origin aluminum, nickel, and copper in line with a Group of 7 agreement made in February to curb Russian revenues from the export of the metals, the proceeds of which could be used to fund the war in Ukraine. On the LME, the price of aluminum for delivery in 3 months rose up to 9%, surpassing $2,700 a ton before retreating, while nickel quotations rose up to 8.8% as traders are convinced of the disruptions in the supply chains of the metals. Copper, whose futures are more liquid, maintained its levels of recent gains on measures that have been generated by positive expectations regarding the global economy. The International Monetary Fund just raised its growth expectations at its spring meetings in Washington, and we will touch on that next week, and that is good news for copper, not necessarily for inflation. Restrictions prevent, those just declared by the United States and Britain, the trading of new Russian metals contracts on the LME and on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the U.S. futures market. Russia is a major producer of all three metals, accounting for 6% of the global supply of nickel, 5% of aluminum, and 4% of copper. According to commodity market listings, the impact should not be dramatic, as markets have been timing themselves for the restrictions, and as Russian exports would end up being bid into Asia via the Shanghai Futures Exchange, from where they could end up accessing markets in the West, unless China keeps that production, refines it, and passes on the costs of transacting them in gray markets to end consumers. We will see how it evolves in the coming months. As a byproduct of the restrictions, Alcoa's shares rose 5.4%, while in London, Rio Tinto's shares rose 0.9%.
Jose, we continue to inform our viewers what will be the different forums and congresses in CONFEMIN within the framework of Expomina of the year of the year of the year of the year. I would like you to comment us on what they will consist of or how the dynamics of these forums will be, and also to tell us more about the Investment Climate, Markets and Prices Forum, who will preside it, and also how the dynamics of this forum will be.
Delighted, Miguel, for CONFEMIN Sitsis at Expomina Noi. We have designed the forums in such a way that we can cover the widest possible spectrum in terms of global, regional, and national dynamics affecting mining exploitation and production, and the technological, legal, political, educational, social, environmental, and leadership managerial axes, in addition to the economic and financial ones in which mining moves. And it is precisely the Investment Climate and Markets and Prices Forum that deals with these last 2 points. The forum seeks to determine and forecast the international environment for mining investment in the Americas, Peru's prospects as an investment destination, as well as trends in metal prices based on global macroeconomic dynamics. Last year, the prices of critical minerals experienced a paradox in that the prospects of decarbonization via electromobility and the energy transition and its potential impact on demand vis-a-vis supply constraints did not drive better prices, which are already experiencing better dynamics this year to date. In the forum, we will analyze the variables that are determining this performance, as well as the conditions for mining investment in the Americas and Peru and the global commodities markets. The Forum on Investment, Climate and Market Prices is chaired by Luis Miguel Castilla, former Minister of Economy and partner of Evidenza Institute. We look forward to seeing you at the Yoki in September.
Well, thank you very much, Jose. As always, we'll see you next week to continue talking about this great work you're doing as General Coordinator of CONFEMIN, the mining conference within POMINA, from September 11th to 13th. Thank you very much. Well, glad to meet you. Jorge, I wanted to show you now the directory of mining suppliers, both physical and virtual. It is really a very important tool. You can go to www.rumbominero.com, have all the information of suppliers and mining companies in the mining sector for free. Of the mining sector free of charge. Just go to www.rumbominero.com. Miguel, do you have an ad?
That's right, Jorge. It's time to introduce the AMSAC Mining Assets Block.
Activos Mineros AMSAC is a Peruvian public company with a great purpose to give life back to the planet. Thus, we are dedicated to contribute to the sustainable development of the country through mining environmental remediation. At AMSAC, we recover areas affected by high and very high risk mining liabilities, which are abandoned or where the state has not identified those responsible. In this line of work, today we are present in 11 regions of Peru, with a portfolio of 65 remediation projects, which are located in different phases. Promotion of private investment. In AMSAC, we represent the Peruvian state as counterpart of the transfer contracts of important mining projects. We also supervise the fulfillment of the commitments and obligations that are part of such processes. Today, we are leaders in corporate management systems, within the 35 companies of the FONAFE Corporation, having the certifications made 9001 in quality management, made 14,001 in environmental management, made 37,001 in anti-bribery management, and 45,001 in occupational health and safety management. At AMSAC, sustainability and care for the planet are our DNA, and therefore we are proud to contribute to creating a better world through the recovery of air, water, soil, and ecosystems impacted by mining liabilities. In this way, we contribute to 10 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by the year 2030. Giving life back to the planet is more than a simple phrase for us. It is the guide of our daily actions, with which we positively impact the lives of thousands of Peruvians, and through them, our country.
Now, as we have already announced, we have Anthony Laub. He is founding partner of Laub Quijandría. We're going to talk a little bit about various topics. He is a very knowledgeable person in the mining sector. Anthony, how are you? I am fine. Thank you, Jorge. After the appointment, Anthony, of a High Commissioner to combat the growing problem of illegal mining in our country, what do you think should be the government's strategy to combat it, and is it enough? And if it is enough, let's say there are areas in Peru, such as the mining corridor, for example, that could have military bases due to the importance of could have military bases because of the importance it has for the Peruvian economy, and because on average they stop 2 months a year, and it is a lot of money lost. But if you were to guide this new commissioner, what do you think are the points you think he should start with to combat this issue?
The problem is relatively simple to understand. There is an illegal economy that pays absolutely nothing. And what are we asking from that illegal economy? Others call it informal. I would prefer to call it illegal. We are asking it to be legalized. So the first question that one asks oneself is, today I earn $100 doing one thing, and you are asking me to legalize it, and I will automatically earn 70 because you take 30% of my profits. But not only that, but then I have to formalize the whole company. That means assuming labor costs, assuming labor commitments, assuming environmental commitments, assuming permit commitments, assuming land titles that I do not have today. That is to say, what used to mean zero cost and literally zero cost today is not going to cost me 30, it is going to cost me 40. 30, it is going to cost me 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So we are asking this illegal mining to do what decent formal mining does. Economically speaking, what incentive does this man have? I prefer if I were illegal, to finance terrorists, terrorist or criminal hosts that directly attack formality, that directly attack the state, in order for me to continue protecting my actions. There is a very relevant piece of information. In terms of gold production, we have maintained more or less the same amount, the same volume of gold that we have been producing for years. What has decreased has been the legal production, and what has increased is the illegal production, and we are not considering all that gold. And we are not considering all that gold that is illegally extracted from the south of Peru, that goes directly through Bolivia, and that all the gold, and that all the remainder stays in Bolivia. So logically, what incentive are we giving to these people? None. Zero. What could we do as a state to give them an incentive to formalize? Exonerate them from taxes? Exonerate them from complying with environmental standards? No, because we would be treating differently those who are equal before the law. Differently those who are equal before the law. I believe that the answer falls flat. You said it at one point. I do not know if it is going to be military, but I do believe that there has to be a respect for authority, respect for the rule of law, and respect for legality. And the only way to make that happen is with force. The state has a just imperium. The state has a strength. All the formalization programs that have been implemented at the state level in all sectors have failed. Why? Reinfo failed. Formalization of traffic, transit, and public transportation failed. Tax amnesties so that people who do not pay failed. And we have millions of these examples because there is no real incentive. We do not have a real economic incentive to stop doing something that gives us 100 and then keep 20 or 10 or 15. If the cancer of Peru is formality, the only way to attack that informality or that illegality is with force.
It is necessary to attack it with force, but also to give it a viable path.
There is no problem. Then you are going to give them the options. The option is to formalize. I will give you a simple route that you already have. The design, the rules are already in place. This is the easy route. The hard route is the one I'm going to chase you. Okay.
Anthony, even though the spotlight is on us all because of the recent events that we all know about, we are all but obviously the growth of illegal mining is not only focused in Peru, but also in countries like Colombia, like Brazil, already linked to drug trafficking issues. And well, obviously we know that the increase in the price of gold in the international market makes it much more attractive. Do you think that this issue of the policy against illegal mining should be seen from a multinational point of view?
Look, the same thing is going to happen. We know who are the ones who buy gold in the world. We are not talking about 3 million people. We know it's 3, 4, 5, 6 big traders buying gold. Demanding a certain level of responsibility from them, I think, is a first stage. That they know and that they can trace the gold that they are charging. But I'm going to come back to the same thing. If I am a trader and overnight I find that the price of gold, let's say, is at $2,000 an ounce, and I'm finding an illegal gold that they're selling it to me at 1,000, am I going to buy it or am I not going to buy it? It is the same thing. It is that all men, the most virtuous and the least virtuous, we basically move according to incentives. I say so, and all the economists in the world have said so. So if I have the economic incentive to hide an operation or to disguise it or to dilute it among other operations, I think they are going to do it. In other words, the candy is too sweet to think and be so naive as to believe that they will not. The natural goodness of man is going to be. No, not that.
Now to state, as the minister says a lot, well, it is a possibility, but he has slipped it in to declare mining formalization an emergency. There are many things that are declared an emergency, and if there is no plan,
it works. Arequipa has just been declared an emergency. Is anything going to happen with the hired assassin that is threatening my city now? It does not guarantee anything. That is to say, a mere declaration, a norm, the best norm in the world. If you don't have the executor and the guardian to ensure that the norm is complied with, nothing happens. It is a simple piece of paper. So what we are not understanding is that the role of the state is precisely that. To protect people, activities, resources, the environment, etc., etc., etc. Why are we not doing that? I mean, the case of Patas is striking because it hasn't been once, it has been twice, and three. And the blowing up of the towers was not 2, it was 14 that had already had their towers blown up. Once again, if I have located the place where my treasure is, and I have huge amounts of money, all I need are 4 or 5 bandits to do the dirty work for me. Scare the formal, scare the illegal, you and I, none of us would like them to come into our homes, point a gun at us, and that's it. It's a robbery, right? And what they're doing is stealing through terror. I go in, I extract as much as I can for free, and then I process it and I get the loot that I'm effectively going after. The state is failing miserably in its role of protecting the people, in its role of protecting society as a whole, in its role of protecting the nation. What is happening in Madre de Dios is not happening behind the back of the state. It is not happening behind the backs of the police or the military. It is happening in our face. That depredation that occurs in Madre de Dios is there. Why don't we go in? What is the fear? What is the fear? That we will effectively go in and remove those dredges again and again and again until it becomes so costly for them that there is no economic incentive. That there is no economic incentive anymore. That is the job of the state. Today, the state has to make it costly for the illegal to steal a cell phone, to steal a car, to steal gold, to steal copper, to steal cables. It has to be expensive. If it is not costly, I do not have the incentive. Because if I already have a job and I have already found a beta and it is becoming very difficult for me and the state is telling me, watch out, I am going to continue making it complicated for you unless you correct yourself and formalize. Sooner or later, it will be formalized.
All right, we only have a minute left, and we did not want to stop asking you about Petro Peru, which seems as always to be in the eye of the storm with this stoppage.
Well, the Flexicosin unit, which was supposedly the jewel, the crown of the Talara refinery, has left. It went out due to an extraordinary event, which is an electrical event, okay? There was a blackout in the north. The Flexicosin unit was working. That unit was without power. And all the product that the unit was processing at that time solidifies. Due to the lack of electricity, obviously you need heat, you need temperature, it solidifies. It is not that the power comes back on and I heat it up again and it works. It's already solidified. The product is already bad. They have to remove all the product, make the corrections inside the unit again to put it back into operation. One could say, well, it's a fluke. Yes and no. Yes, because the national electricity system depends on a series of variables. Was it known that it was possible for that to happen? Yes. Hey, second issue, Petro Peru, with the Talara refinery, had it planned its own generation unit for its own consumption of 90 megawatts? Yes. Is it ready? Nah. So how do I mitigate my risks? How do I mitigate my risks if I have an already very expensive operation, as we know, and I know that I'm effectively at the tail end of the power line at the end, and that anything that happens between me and the cable downstream, I have no absolute control. So you have to have redundancies, you have to have backups. And if your generation unit is not ready because you have been delayed, it's your fault. But the tragedy is going to be the next thing. We don't know the magnitude of what's going to happen. But what is going to happen is that this bill will be paid by all Peruvians. We all Peruvians are going to pay it once again. So instead of returning to allocate $500, $400, $200 million to schools, to the police to do their job, to health centers, we are going to continue allocating public funds to save this company, which is a disaster and which is bankrupt. To this company and its mistakes. to this company and its mistakes. And the worst of all is that there is no Petroperu official who is being investigated or who has been indicted. So how easy it is to play with the money of all Peruvians. How easy it is to make business decisions saying, do not worry if I spoil it, as if in fact you are going to spoil it, that we all pay.
Of course. Excellent. Well, Anthony, thank you very much. As always, super clear. And we are really worried about this Petroperu issue, but it is a reality. The truth is that once again there is negligence. We hope to have you back another time. My pleasure. Thank you very much. Anthony Laub was with us. Now we are going to go with Gabriela Chicoma to Expomina. Go ahead, Gabriela.
Thank you very much. Expomina Peru, the largest and most important mining event of the year 2024, with 16 years of trajectory, with the special participation of the United States as the guest mining country. Expomina Peru is the only Peruvian event certified by the United States Department of Commerce. Do not be left out and be part of this great mining event. Reserve your booth at Expomina Peru. For more information, visit our website www.expominaperu.com.
Well, coming to the end of the program, Miguel, it is worrying what Anthony Laub tells us about. Petroperu's mega project does not have its own electricity. It is not only that the machine has stopped and is now heating up again, but look at the big problem they have got themselves into, being such a big refinery. The part is not ready. Again, Petroperu is going to put all of us Peruvians to bed, an amount that in a poor country is really a crime.
This is so, and above all, it will bring to the ground all the anxiety of financial recovery that they had planned for this October of this year. And let's see when we are talking about for a new loan to save Petroperu again.
Definitely somebody has to do something about Petroperu. Also illegal mining. With respect to what Anthony has said, it is very important that we continue to fight illegal mining, that we continue to fight against illegal mining, and that we also give a proposal to it. That is, it is very important that we continue to fight against illegal mining and that we give them an intelligent proposal that is profitable for them, because nobody is going to stop earning 80% of what they had just to comply. On the one hand, we have to be strong, but on the other hand, we have to give them the path to legalization.
That is right, Jorge. And also, well, what Mr. Augusto Baertl said, in which we wish Agromin every success. That's right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you all very much for being with us at Rumbo Minero. My name is Jorge Leon Benavides, and together with Miguel Zavala, we have developed this program. In a few minutes, don't forget, Peru Construir is coming. Thank you very much.